hunting,
fishing,
cooking,
camping,
conservation,
travel,
gardening,
photography, family.
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 This is the Outdoor Rules Podcast. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. Mike here. Thanks for joining us again today. Caitlin's here with me.
Hey.
And GT's here.
Hello.
I think we might end up calling some people later in this episode, but we'll kind of see how it goes. Caitlin, we were working on something. We were working on sending some photographs earlier this weekend, right?
Yeah. Got us digging through old photos.
Yeah. And Rachel's working on something for social media for Outdoor Rules, so that should be interesting. I'm curious to see exactly why she wanted funny old photographs, but it is fun to go back and look at old pictures, right?
Yes.
And I also think we're really blessed now, especially to have two really great photographers in the family. Rachel, of course, who is a professional photographer.
Mm-hmm.
And GT, I mean, would you have ever considered yourself a professional photographer? Have you ever been paid for photography?
Yeah, that was my first job out of college, was working as a professional photographer for a corporate communications business. So I'd go and put together slide presentations and slideshows, things like that.
So kind of back in a previous life, you were a professional photographer. And then, I mean, the business that you did, obviously, with marketing, a lot of photography.
Yeah, I started out shooting photography for several years, and then I started representing photographers as artists and helping sell their work. And then we created the agency, right?
Right.
And there, we're around and creating photography all the time. I just didn't do it anymore.
Right.
In my role as the president of the company.
And I think that it's really, I mean, it's just a great blessing to have you as such a great photographer and have Rachel around. And there's a lot of really great photos. I think from our family, my dad dabbled in photography stuff, but we certainly don't have as many high quality photos, particularly as you go back into the 80s and 90s, as we do now. And it's so much easier to take pictures now with phones. I think it's something that we almost take for granted.
Yeah, very much so.
Right. I mean,
the quality is like ridiculous.
Right. I mean, not only can you always take a photo because you have a phone, but I mean, they're pretty darn good quality photos without knowing anything whatsoever about how to take a picture.
From an exposure standpoint and things like that. For sure.
Right. I mean, not a composition standpoint. I'm not, I mean, you still, Rachel's, as Mark says, like, he and Rachel can use the exact same equipment and hers come out special and his come out as, pictures of stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, digging back through those old photos really had me thinking about how meaningful it is to have some of those memories captured. And the idea for today's podcast is to look at an old photo and just reminisce about it. Remember the story, sort of talk a little bit about why it's meaningful to have those old photos. And I have one that I want to share. But the example of this that got me going, one that I sent to Rachel. And for those of you out there just listening to this on audio, you'll have to go to our website and check out these pictures. But if you're watching on YouTube, I'll hold them up for the camera. I just held one up that is me probably 1994-ish would be my guess. I think I was 14 years old, and it's a real close friend, Dan Kreider, and looking at the photo actually led me to call Dan this weekend. I sent it to him, and I was talking to him about it. I think for each of us, it was the first Canada goose that we ever got, and we sort of laughed and remembered the story of that day of hunting, and Dan's in shorts and sneakers, which is not normal waterfowl hunting attire by any means. And I think all of my clothes look way too big for me. I grew quite a lot probably in the next year after the picture was taken, but just fun to share those memories. And so what I asked Tim and Caitlin to do, and we may call some other people today, was just to dig up a photo, and I want to talk about him, tell the story of why that picture's meaningful to you and kind of what it means and what the story is around it. So GT, I guess I'd ask you to start. I'll try to hold the photo up here, and then if you can sort of describe it, and then we'll get into the story around it. That makes sense?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So the photo that I decided to show here was not the best photograph I ever took, or even have of family members, but it has like this amazing. It's representational to me of family vacations in general. And that particular picture is our family with Caitlin and Tim and Daniel and Denise, along with her sister Diane and her husband and their 3 kids. All of us spent a week at this place called Convict Lake up in Mammoth Springs in California, and we used to do a lot of trips with them, and so this sort of is just representational, and it's interesting to me because everybody's kind of doing their own thing in this picture, right? I set the camera up on a tripod, told everybody to sit down, and you've got the 2 teenage boys standing in the background, towering over everybody like we're not part of this family, you know?
As teenage boys will do.
And then you got Gary kind of sitting over on the left, just looking smug, as he usually does. Caitlin wrapping her arms around my neck, and I don't know. It's just sort of everybody was just themselves, and you could tell we liked being together.
Yeah. So about when is this taken?
Pretty sure 1995, 95 or 96.
So you're how old then, Caitlin?
If it was 95, I would have been 8.
Yeah. Summer of 95.
Right.
And who all's in the photo? Who are the 2 teenagers?
Well, that'd be Timothy, who just was 12 or 13, and his cousin Paul, probably 16 at that point, I think.
And you mentioned that it's not the greatest photograph that you ever took, but that's not like super high quality photography is not really the point of this, right? Like, in fact, I don't think any of the ones that I have that come to mind for me are special or cherished photographs because they're great photography. It's that they're tied to something special, a memory, or really probably a feeling of a time.
Right. Definitely the feeling thing, right? Because as I was looking through the book, I've got all these albums filled with, I don't know, 1,000 images probably in photo albums. And I was looking back through these, looking for photos today to do this discussion. And I was kind of amazed at what emotions came up to me just as I was flipping through, see a picture of an old friend, see an old family member who passed away 20 years ago. And it just brings up all the emotions of that moment that you were together.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you let it takes you right back.
Yeah. And I feel like that is hard somehow to replicate outside of either the visual stimulus or, honestly, a big part of why I'm doing this podcast is I'm not a good photographer. I've never had that skill. I don't know that I'm any good at podcasting.
We'll see.
You like talking, though.
I do like talking. But when we, a long time back, one of my dad's cousins sent that recording of a family reunion from 1986, and I got really emotional. I heard my grandpa's voice for the first time. I didn't know that it was recorded anywhere, and I feel like it's the same kind of thing, right? it's that stimulus, whether it's visual or auditory, that really can put you back in a moment in a way that, that you don't often get just through sheer memory. And
Yeah. I often find people, like the kids especially, recalling things we did when they were little. They're like, oh, I remember when we did this.
Mhm.
And then very often their description of what we did is a description of a photograph,
oh yeah,
because there's
Yeah.
a photograph that they've seen over and over through the years that comes to mind, and that it becomes the memory of that trip or that day or whatever.
right. And so I guess, talk a little bit about that trip, about Convict Lake and where it is and what you were doing. And
What do you remember about it, Caitlin? I'm curious.
Bits and pieces, I would say. We had some other family there too, right? Uncle John, Aunt
Uncle
Dawn,
John,
and the Dodge boys.
Yep.
I think the big thing that sticks out to me is there was a little lake. Well, I guess Convict Lake. We were doing all kinds of stuff. There was biking. There was just being outside, playing with cousins. I remember that feeling, just being around all the cousins and having a lot of fun. But I also remember I got in trouble one night because I think I went to the lake. I don't know, maybe me and Missy and Danny. I didn't think we were lost, but from y'all's perspective, we were lost. I think we were just trying to go to the lake and come back. But yeah, I remember getting in trouble for that.
Yeah, we did a lot. I mean, so it was a beautiful place actually up in the Sierras, and we did mountain biking for one thing, downhill mountain biking. If you've never done that, I've done some scary things in my life. It was one of the scariest things I've ever done, was take a mountain bike and carry it up to the top of a mountain on a chairlift at a ski hill resort, and then bike down the hill. Just a dreadful experience. I really was, I couldn't get my hands off of the handlebars of the bike by the time I got to the bottom.
Who was like the most excited and loved that? Out of
John,
everybody?
my brother John was really into mountain biking at the time. He's the one that convinced me, oh, we should go do this. I'm like, yeah, right, okay. Yeah, he was into it. But we also did a lot of fishing, did trout fishing. And the memory that sticks in my mind about that is watching Timothy drop, 4 or 5 jars of power bait into Convict Lake at various times. It's like $40 worth of power bait falling into the bottom of the lake.
those babies just sink.
They do.
They're just gone.
Yeah.
There's no getting them back.
Yeah. But we caught some trout. That was fun. We did a big hike one day where everybody went on this hike, and it was hot and full of mosquitoes, and we sort of got lost on the hike too. Like we weren't quite sure where we were going.
Uh-huh.
And we were like getting really tired and really hot. And I just remember kind of scurrying, kind of crawling up a hillside, trying to see if I could see the trail that we should be on. and when we got to the top, I looked up and there's just a flashing neon sign in a bar.
Oh, nice.
A beer sign. And we said, yes, we're here.
Found civilization.
And I can still taste that beer the next day.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Was Nisi on the hike?
She was.
I can imagine being lost and a lot of mosquitoes probably were not her favorite thing.
No, not the best. I mean, up there you get into these like little wet pockets in the woods, and they just swarm you.
Oh yeah. And Nisi
Loves.
Yeah. There is nobody that gets attacked by mosquitoes quite like Nisi does.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, she's whatever the blood type is, whatever the reason why mosquitoes choose
She's
some
all of
people
them.
over others.
Yeah.
She's got every
I've heard
characteristic
a lot
that
of different things. But
Yeah.
she's all of them.
they really get her. Poor Nisi.
Because she's so sweet.
Yeah, she's so sweet. That's right. And I don't know. I mean, what's the feeling from the photo? Like, what do you think about when you look at it?
Love. It just feels like a lot of love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a time of a lot of family being together.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, no, thanks for bringing that one. That's kind of perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about. Anything else you want to add on it?
No, well, the only thing that's interesting is we were on this trip with my brother and his whole family, and you notice they're not in the picture.
Well, I think the way the houses were, we shared a house.
we did share a
with
house.
Gary and Diane.
But also John and Dawn and the kids, they just weren't around much. I don't know where they were.
Yeah.
They kind of did their own thing.
Isn't that is a funny thing about families and how they function on family vacations? I think anybody who routinely does big family vacations, like, you just come to learn that different families function in different ways in those situations. And some families, some groups of people are like, we're just going to be together 100% of the time.
Yep.
And then others aren't like that. They're like, oh yeah, a couple times on the trip you'll have meals together or whatever, but otherwise they're going to be off on their sort of own adventures.
Yeah, they're missing out.
I'm
just saying.
No, I mean, it's, I guess, to each their own, but it is interesting how that kind of works.
Yeah, it's true. And it's true in every family, I think.
Right.
Yeah, it's fun when you find a group of people that just mesh together, whatever that balance is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Didn't you have some family childhood story, Tim, of an aunt or an uncle just like packing up, throwing all their crap in the car?
Leaving with the boat that we all supposed to use for the week.
What was that story?
That was that we were staying up in Pennsylvania at Lake Wallenpaupack.
Yeah, Wallenpaupack's a big lake.
That was we had a trip we did where it was my family and all of my mom's brothers and sisters. So 2 other sisters and her brother and all their families, and we all rented cabins on Wallenpaupack, and my uncle Tom had a real nice ski boat, and so he brought that up from Philadelphia, and we were all going to spend the week there. And then on like day 1 of the trip, him and his wife Carol got in a big fight, and they packed up and took their boat and their stuff and left. And so we all have a week in Wallenpaupack with nothing to do.
It's, I mean, it really, like, I can't think of a parallel in like a John Candy movie, but it also feels like it could be
absolutely
a scene out of The Great Outdoors.
Right.
Like all of this is, I mean, The Great Outdoors is an excellent movie.
It
right.
is.
From the, like, how people function on those family vacation kind of things.
National Lampoons.
Yeah. Right. All the National Lampoons movies. Yeah. That would have
so far we haven't had that kind of a vacation with you guys.
No.
We've had lots of trips together.
A lot of them. Yeah. Speaking of, I think I told you, but I reached out to, I really want to do a podcast about Argentina because it's 10 years ago, I think, that we went to Argentina.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing adventure. We've talked about little elements of it, but I reached out to our fishing guide from there, a guy named Julian Cabral, right, Kaylin?
Yep.
I think I got that, like, the pronunciation right.
Yep.
Anyway, he's going to be on the podcast, hopefully. So sometime soon we'll do a Argentina podcast with a fishing guide from Patagonia. That'll be fun. That will be fun. That was a heck of a trip. That was kind of early in that was really the first big adventure that we took together. I think
it is. We kind of started out pretty large.
We really
did.
And
have been trying to keep up ever since.
Yeah, that one was hard to beat. We've had a lot of great trips, but Argentina was amazing. Anyway, well, Caitlin.
Yep. I'm up.
You want to go next or do you want me to?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay. We'll let GT go. GT's cooking us dinner tonight, so we gotta get him off the podcast.
Unless there's something he wants to say about the photo. I want him to be here for yours for sure. Yeah. So we'll do mine. So we can
want me to hold
talk
it up?
about it. Yeah.
Okay.
I pulled it up and laughed.
I love this story. This photograph is really kind of part of what gave me the idea for it. So hard for me to see what I'm doing here.
Over, up, down, right, left.
There.
Yep.
Okay,
It's,
what's going on?
Okay. 3 kids in a canoe on a lake. And one kid, you can't see his face. He's messing with his fishing line. And then I'm sitting in the middle with a fishing rod. And then there's a little boy to the left of me with a fishing rod. And so that's what it looks like. Although if you zoom
I'm gonna
in,
try to zoom in on Caitlin's face here.
if you really, so at first it just kind of looks like a sweet picture of 3 kids in a boat fishing. But if you zoom in on my face, you can tell I'm not that happy.
Okay, so set the scene. Where?
First of all, Kate, there's no kid that's ever happier fishing typically than Caitlin.
Right.
Yes.
She loves fishing. Always has since she could hold a fishing rod in her hand.
Right. So you're in a canoe.
I'm in a canoe.
Where are you?
We're in Sylvania. And we talked about this, I believe, on the first podcast my dad jumped on.
Oh, yeah, on the water thief? The one we
The
called
water
the water
thief,
thief?
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
That
It
was the
that
Sylvania trip.
It was that trip.
One of them, yep.
So it's like not the Boundary Waters, but a smaller scale, similar kind of canoeing, portaging, camping trip. We talked about Boundary Waters. Well, you maybe mentioned Sylvania on the last podcast with Kate. Anyway, it's similar to the Boundary Waters canoe camping adventure.
Yep. The same trip I cut my finger on like 5 minutes into being at our campsite.
After GT gave you a pocket knife.
Right.
And then GT and Paul had to steal water.
Okay, so we got all of my mistakes on the table.
It's like a Seinfeld episode. It's like some of these things are like, oh, that was all the same trip, wasn't it?
So, Caitlin, why are you upset in this canoe?
I'm upset because I am just getting totally skunked fishing. Not only am I getting totally skunked, but one of the kids we were with was having an excellent day. And to me, it felt like he was catching fish every 5 minutes, and I couldn't catch anything.
What kind of fish were you fishing for?
I don't know. I would have guessed bass.
Yeah,
but-
it was there were a lot of bass in there.
Yeah.
Bass and panfish.
And I don't think I'd ever been skunked that bad. Like if I had been sitting there not catching fish all by myself, I would have been fine.
Yeah.
But it was the fact that somebody was next to me catching fish, and so the little bit of competitive streak came out.
Oh, the little bit. You have a little bit of a competitive streak, Caitlin? Tell us more. I've never noticed this.
You know what? Have you been on a boat with you rule boys when one of you catches a fish and the rest of you haven't caught a fish?
It's not the first fish, but once the same person catches the second fish, then people start getting crabby.
You don't even want to talk to anybody until everybody's caught a fish.
Yeah, well.
There's like this tension in the air until each of you have caught one. But imagine that just happening over and over and over again. And I didn't know what I was doing. What I also find funny about the photo is that it's 3 kids in a canoe by themselves. How did we get there?
We were talking about that. GT.
In the middle of the lake.
So the whole point of this is for you guys to learn how to do things. You know?
You must have drug us out there.
Well, I probably pushed you out there. You know, we were...
We do have life jackets. We do have life jackets on.
It somehow makes it better that he pushed you out in the canoe.
I wanted to take pictures of you. Anyway, you were it was close to the shore. You guys were getting the canoes and you were real close to shore on a little lake. It was not, what could happen?
Yeah. We had life jackets on.
Yeah, you did have life jackets on.
Yeah.
But you didn't, there's like one element of the story that you didn't really tell. The thing that it's like seems like it's stuck in your head or maybe stuck in your craw more than any other part.
Oh, Mike's exuberance every time he caught a fish?
Not me, but
no, other Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Mike Serial.
Right.
I was sitting in the boat with Mike and Danny Serial. Other people on that trip might have just been the dads and then Timothy.
Yep.
I guess. If even Timothy came.
I don't remember.
He may
there were
not-
so many
he
of
may
those,
not
and
have
different
been-
people came in and
Yeah.
out of those trips.
I don't have a lot of memories of him on that one, but anyways, yeah. What sticks in my head is every time Mike caught a fish, he was just so genuinely excited every single time he caught a fish, and like the excitement didn't decrease, even as he probably caught what felt like 3 dozen fish, and nobody else was catching fish. Be like, I got another one.
That's the
Oh
thing.
my gosh, I got another one.
I think the thing that is most stuck in your head when you've talked about this, because this is not the first time we've ever talked about this, is that you always do that. And Caitlin, I feel like you very rarely do something in a voice.
Yeah.
So like when you do a voice, it is something very meaningful to you.
Okay.
This story is Caitlin's equivalent to the fishing guide me and Matt were with.
Martied. When we got martied.
When we got martied.
Right.
She
But
got-
I was
she got
also
Michael.
whatever, 7 years old and,
Yeah.
more emotional.
Mike Serio saying, I caught another one. That's the thing that really gets you.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, like looking at the photo, what's the feeling?
I don't know if I would talk about one feeling. I mean, the trip was awesome. I think it was just such a grand adventure. So I remember that. I remember the frustration of sitting there not catching fish and somebody doing much better sitting next to me. Beautiful place.
I don't know. It is.
It mainly makes me laugh when I look at it.
Yeah.
It makes me laugh to look back and remember how that feeling of frustration, amongst all of the other fun, adventure-filled hours we had, like being in the canoe and looking at the stars. I
Yeah.
remember that on that trip.
I think we've talked about it a little bit before, but it's that thing like you call type 2 fun, where it's like in the moment you're really mad or it really sucks or the mosquitoes are really biting or, you're trying to pack the elk meat uphill or like whatever it is. And then in hindsight, it's still a fond memory.
Yeah.
Right?
I think the other thing worth pointing out is Caitlin's exasperation in that canoe was not that different than her exasperation last weekend when we were shooting clays.
Like I'm doing something wrong and I don't know what I'm doing wrong and I'm really mad.
Right? You're up there, shooting 8 out of 10 clays out of the sky, and Caitlin and I are like hitting 1 in 3 or 4.
Just getting skunked by mics all the time.
Oh, that competitive streak in you is so strong. And what Tim's talking about, we went and shot sporting clays, shotguns last week, and I have so much more experience than either one of you. And I think that you are, my feeling is that you are actually kind of both better than you have any right to be based on the amount of experience that you have. But it's still Caitlin, especially, like you get so competitive and so frustrated. And I don't know that it's,
I don't think it's competition. It's that I get mad at myself. Like I've talked about before, it wasn't that I had to win. I just didn't want to lose. And so it's like things are going wrong. I can't figure out how to correct it on my own. Meanwhile, the backdrop is somebody else like being super successful.
right.
It's not that I feel like I know that I shouldn't be as good as you, but I don't know. That's what makes it frustrating.
It is the same feeling though, huh?
What?
As the fishing boat up at Sylvania.
Probably, because I think I was sitting there like, well, this person right next to me is doing it. Like, what am I doing wrong? And I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong while I wasn't having success. And that's what gets frustrating to me.
Yeah, I get it. If you're all failing together, that's one feeling. But if somebody's succeeding while you're failing, it can be a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah,
Yeah. But it's still a great memory and it's a cool photo.
it is. We actually have, it might be on YouTube. Doesn't Paul have video from that trip of me walking around with his camera talking about everything?
We
at our
should find the link
campsite?
to that.
Yeah, we can.
There's a YouTube
Because
video of.
It would be evidence that I generally had a lot of fun on that trip. But the photo doesn't.
I do like the photo, back to the photo, like I do love the fact that in the photo, when you look at it with no context, you're like, oh, that's a nice picture of 3 kids fishing out of the boat. But then when somebody, like when you talk about you being frustrated and you really look at your face, you're like, yep, no, I can totally see it. She's having some feelings there.
Now, if I look back, and as I was looking back through albums and all the old photographs of Caitlin through the years, one of the overarching themes is, for me, was all these pictures of her engaging with a smile on her face in nature.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those photographs, whether it was riding on a dog sled up in Canada or just combing through the sand on a beach looking for crustaceans or whatever she was looking for. There's just lots of pictures of you just being delighted and in the moment and present to being in nature. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Being outside turns out it's a good pathway to being happy.
Yeah. And maybe some of us like it more
Especially-
than others, but I think it's important for everybody.
And especially if you have to put up with mics.
She never has a hard time putting up with me when she's beating me at fishing,
Yeah.
which she often does, to be perfectly
I don't
honest.
know about that.
Yeah, you do know about that.
But those cereal boys were really, really good kids. They
Yeah.
were fun to be around.
Yeah.
They were really nice,
Nice.
even if they were out fishing me.
I routinely got outfished by Matt as a kid, so maybe I built up a little bit of emotional scar tissue over the being outfished by somebody. Pretty routine event for us.
Speaking of fishing, I'm going to go cook up some of that halibut that we caught last summer.
GT's cooking up some Norway halibut tonight.
That'll be good.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, GT.
Yep.
Unfortunately, Robert seems to have gotten that gene from me.
Yeah. Oh, about being frustrated.
Yeah, about getting mad at himself.
Yeah. Yeah, he does take things real seriously
Mm-hmm.
when it's not going well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is like you. I didn't really think about that, but you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I show you my picture?
Yeah.
So this is one that we've got hanging in our house. You got to help me.
Yep, you can see it. Mm-hmm.
So, Caitlin, can you describe the picture as I hold it up?
Yeah, it's wintertime, deer hunting season. I see a little boy with a deer leg surrounded by a couple of older gentlemen.
Yeah. So I think it's a terrible photograph. I mean, as far as like you look at it and you're like, not at all clear what's going on, right? Not like
Like, it's not an award-winning photograph, no, but it's also not terrible.
right. I think it is the only photograph that I have with Pop Grant, with my grandpa, actually out hunting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
And so it's a photo of me and Pop Grant and Dad, and it's one that I really cherish having for a couple reasons. One, because like I said, I just don't think, like, we never took pictures while we were actually out doing that kind of thing. You know, there
Yeah.
may be photos of us in the yard or back at camp or whatever it is, but as far as a picture of us actually being outside engaged in an activity, it's the only one I have. And it's also my first deer.
Mm-hmm.
So I know, it's one of those like indelible memories I will never forget. It was 1992. I was 12 years old. It's in the middle of Pollock Hollow, which is a hollow, in Pennsylvania we call. I was thinking about that the other day. It would actually kind of be fun to do an episode about all the different things that people call draws or hollows. Here there are
Mhm.
arroyos, right? Canyons.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's what you call a draw in Pennsylvania. Northern Pennsylvania is a hollow. And it's about halfway up Pollock Hollow, which is a hollow that's a couple miles down Big Moore's Run from our camp. And 92 was a really big winter. I think there was at least 18 inches of snow on the ground, and it was doe season. And back then, way back in the old days, doe season was just a couple of days long, 3 days of doe only hunting after the rifle buck season ended. And there were a bunch of us up at camp, and we really hunted hard that year. And we did a lot of pushes trying to drive deer, and it just wasn't working. We just couldn't find the deer. They wouldn't move or whatever the reason was. But it was the last day of the season, and I think it was the last thing we were going to do before we went home. And we did a drive into Policalo, and for the first time in my life, I was a driver. So I was one of the people walking, trying to push the deer.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember, I wasn't, I'm like a pretty big guy now. I'm 6 foot and over 200 pounds. But I was a pretty small kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I was pretty small until like the summer between my junior and senior year in high school. And so when I was 12, I was little. And I just remember, like, it just looking at the picture brings all this back so clearly. That drive, how hard it was walking through the snow. I stayed really close to my dad. I couldn't be hunting on my own. But, I'm sure he was probably 40 or 50 yards away with his eye on me the whole time. But, I
Right.
felt independent, like they were telling me to do something that was important, to be part of this, not just, hey, kid, come here, stand here.
Right.
And anyway, it had been kind of a disappointment because I'm 12 and I first year you could hunt then. And I really wanted to get a deer, and it just hadn't worked out. I don't think anybody in camp had got a deer, and we got done with the drive. It was over. And we got down into Pollock Hollow, and I got down to where I was with some of the guys that were standing on that drive that were posted up. And another group of guys were driving a different hollow over from us, and they actually pushed those deer to us. And so not only did it happen for me, but it happened for me with 3 or 4 guys from camp, my dad's cousin Cork, Chip Saddison, who's a close friend, maybe my dad's cousin Jeff, were all standing behind me.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm 12 years old, I'm there, the deer are coming in, the guys behind me are all like giving me advice, rooting for me. I made probably the luckiest shot of my life, but it was quick, kill the deer right away. Everybody got to see it. I remember Cork saying, "Great shot," and then we got a few more deer out of that as a camp. And then, like I said, Dad was there. I don't think he was actually standing with me when I shot. I think he had left me with the other guys and went up the hill to collect some of the other standers. Pop Grant was down towards the bottom of the hollow, but I just remember being so proud I got that deer.
Yeah.
And the guys talked about how good the shot was, and it just really made me feel good. And then Pop Grant came up, and I'm not sure if it was Cork or Chip or who snapped the photo, but what we were doing was, it was before we gutted the deer, and Pop Grant was teaching me how to gut a deer.
Yeah.
And boy, it's just such a cherished thing. It's it's amazing to have that one picture that represents really so much of that time in my life. And I didn't get a lot of those opportunities. He passed away in 96. He passed away a couple months before I got my first buck.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't even, he wasn't still there for that.
And it seems like it captures the moment better than if everybody were to set the camera up and then sit behind the deer and then, right, it's life. It's capturing life.
Right. Exactly. It's 100%. What do they call it? Candid, right?
Yeah.
With photography. Yeah. It's 100% candid. He's doing something. He's probably got a knife in a hand that you can't see in the picture. And,
right.
You can tell that he's talking to me and that I'm listening to him.
Yep.
And Dad's in there too.
And Dad's right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, what a special thing to have, I guess.
Yeah.
So much fun to have those things and be able to look back on them.
For sure.
Yeah. That's one that hangs in our living room.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Look at that one often and think of him. So, well, I don't know. I guess I got to see if we can get anybody else to join us on here.
Okay.
I have no idea how I'm going to stitch these videos together.
Okay.
All right. Stand by.
Standing by.
All right, Caitlin, we're back.
Yep. Here we are.
Let's call Mom and Dad, better known as Meemaw and Poppy, on the podcast. What do you think?
They probably have some photos with stories.
Yeah, Mom sent me one I want to talk about. Let's try this.
Hello?
Hi, Mom.
Hi.
Having minor technical difficulties there.
I gathered.
Yeah. All right. So you sent me a picture, right? So I told you earlier, Mom, we're talking about pictures, right?
You did.
And pictures that mean something to you for one reason or another. And you sent me what I'm confident will be the oldest picture that we'll talk about on today's episode.
Yeah, it's pretty old, I believe.
I'm going to hold it
I'd
up.
say
And then what I want you to do, so now I want you to describe it.
it is of the interior of an old corner store side of Lebanon, Pennsylvania. The father grew up in north of the railroad tracks in Lebanon, probably dated the early 1920s.
You're cutting out a little bit again. You said the early 1920s?
Correct.
Yeah.
Would be my guess.
So
There might be from prior to that. My dad would have been 7 or 8 in the 1920s, and that's when he would go to his Aunt Lena's store right after school to help her bake in the kitchen of her. She lived there at the store because she goods every Saturday at the store. My dad would go there every Friday night after school from the time he was about 7 or 8 years old. I'm not sure till how long, because when he was 13 and in 8th grade, he quit school to work more full time to help support the family. But anyway, he would go there on a Friday night because he would bake all Friday night into the early hours of Saturday morning to sell homemade baked products in her store. I really think it was the foundation of my dad's learning how to bake as well as he did, and he was quite the baker.
yeah, I mean, what a cool thing to have. So Pop Bud was, like you said, I mean, he was an amazing cook and an amazing baker.
He
and,
was.
And this is where the foundation of that was laid down.
I believe it. Yes, I really believe it was. He talked about it often. He talked about the things he dreaded if there were coconuts on the stoops to the back steps when he got there after school. His first job was to crack and then hammer open and peel coconut, because she was going to be making coconut cakes and coconut pies. A job he did not enjoy.
Yeah,
But I still think it was his foundation of, learning the tricks of the trade, so to speak. But also, I think his love of cooking and baking.
yeah. You don't really think anymore about making a coconut cake or a coconut pie and starting with a coconut.
Mm-hmm.
No, you don't.
I've never done that.
Only thing missing was
You
climbing
go
the
to
tree to get them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I think he did in the Bahamas, but that's beside the point.
That's a good story too, and you can go back and listen to the episode about Pop Bud way at the beginning of the podcast where we talked about that. But and then there's another kind of funny family connection to that place too, right, Mom?
Yeah. Well, on the podcast you did not too long ago, several weeks ago, maybe at this point, with Uncle Sim, Dad's Uncle Sim, who's 94, he talked about Market was originally on the north side of town there too, on North 9th Street. And of course, he would help his mother on Saturdays at the at Market.
Mm-hmm.
And when Market finished up, she took some of the profit that she made that day and went directly to a very close by local store and bought all her supplies for next week's baking, her flour, sugar, etc. And we got thinking about this, Poppy and I, Randy and I, and we sent him, just this week, I think, or the end of last week, doesn't matter. We took a picture of Poppy Bud's Aunt Lena's store and sent it to him, and he swears on the Bible that that's the store he went to with his mom.
Crazy. So Pop Bud's
So if that would be
family
true,
yeah. Go
if
ahead.
that would be true, that was a pretty special connection.
Yeah, Pop Bud's family selling Pop Grant's family baking supplies.
Where Pop Bud learned to bake.
Yeah. And boy, I mean, again, I know we talked about it in that episode, but when we say Pop Bud was a baker, like, you know, I always tell people when he was our deer camp cook, he baked 5 pies and 2 cakes every day at deer camp.
That's crazy.
Every night before bed.
Right. And
Yep.
there's a story he made an angel food cake in a wash tub, right? For some kind of
Correct.
fire hall event.
Yep. When the bicentennial was.
Oh yeah.
As a celebration for the bicentennial, he made this huge angel food cake in a big wash tub using a glass baby bottle weighted down with knives, butter knives, to hold so there'd be a hole in the center.
Right. And it's, you know, I mean, it's a through line, I think, for our family, baking and the love of baking that Pop Bud had. You're a great baker. My sister Kate is an amazing baker. And, you know, I'm not as good as you guys, but even for us, you know, now Robert and I making cinnamon rolls together.
You're a darn good baker also. Yep.
Well, thanks
And
for that. I'm not as good as you or Kate, that's for sure.
I don't agree, but I think some of that's the genetics, and I learned lots of little tips from Pop Bud.
Yeah. And I, you know, the baking itself, the love of baking is one thing, but I think that really it is one of those labor of love, act of service kind of things, more than
Yes.
it's about, you know, making a cake, right?
Exactly.
I mean, Rob, you guys were just here a couple weeks ago and we recorded the podcast from the San Juan River. And as you guys were leaving, I was so proud of Robert for this. As you guys were leaving, we hadn't gotten to make cinnamon rolls for you yet. And he really wanted to do that. And so the way that baking process works, it's like you have to proof the dough. It's a long proof in the refrigerator overnight. So and you were leaving so early on a Saturday morning that we couldn't bake the cinnamon rolls the morning you were leaving, right?
Correct. We were leaving your house by like 3:45 a.m.
So that meant if he wanted to
for the airport.
If he wanted to make you cinnamon rolls, we had to do it on Friday morning, which was a school day. And so Thursday night we made the dough. And he said, "Get me up, Dad, when you get up." And I'm like, "Buddy, it's, you know, tomorrow's you got school and it's going to be really early. I'll tell you what, I'll get up and I'll roll the dough out and, you know, I'll cut the cinnamon rolls and I'll put them in the oven because you have to do all that and then proof them for 2 more hours. And then around the time you're getting up, I'll be ready to bake them and you can help me bake them." And he said, "No, get me up. I want to help." And I got up at 3:45 and I thought, there's no way. Like you know, and I went in and I rubbed him on the back and I said, "Hey buddy, I'm going downstairs. You know, I'm going to roll the cinnamon rolls. Just stay in bed. You can help me bake them later." I didn't want to skip it for him. You know, I didn't want him to feel like I hadn't talked to him about it. And Sure enough, I got the dough out and I just started rolling it and I heard a noise behind me and I jumped back. He's standing right behind me,
All dressed for the day.
fully
probably.
dressed, ready for the day. And there he was. He helped me roll out cinnamon rolls. And it's hard for me to not think about Pop Bud, with that kind of thing. It's a love that he had and a love of doing things for people. And Robert sure seems to have gotten that somehow.
Yeah.
I think back to when you were in middle school and had learned to make the cheesecakes from our wonderful neighbor, Mabel,
Yep.
80-plus-year-old Mabel at the time. And I don't think anybody was prouder or more helpful in getting cheesecake pans and cheesecake ingredients for you than Pop Bud.
Oh, definitely not. I mean, he bought hundreds of pounds of cream cheese and sugar and lemon juice. And
He certainly did.
yeah.
Yep. And I think his heart swelled 4 times the size. just because I think it was he saw himself.
Yeah.
It may be that the only thing, one of the few things better than looking at a picture to remember family and times is having a taste of some cherished recipe that you used
Yes.
to share in
Yep.
making or eating. And that's pretty special, a special component of it all too.
Yeah.
I'm really delighted. 2 of actual Randy's cousins' children, Poppy's cousins' children, came last Saturday to learn my dad's Pop Bud cookie recipe.
Yeah.
I mean, they aren't even my dad's relatives, but they remember 'em from their childhood. They always loved them. They were afraid it was something that would eventually go away without them ever having the recipe or knowing how to make them. And now Poppy's oldest cousin in the whole family, Uncle Wilmer's daughter, who's 88, her one daughter reached out to me, and she's coming, not this coming week, but the following week, to learn the same thing because she remembers them.
That's something.
Yeah.
So, like you're saying, it's the memories.
Right.
It's not just the actual food
Yeah.
or item.
And, to have a photograph of where it all began, it's such a cool thing.
Aunt Lena's store.
Aunt Lena's store. Well, I know Poppy sent me a picture that I want to talk about, but I think we've kind of run this one out of time. So, Caitlin, I think
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, not you, us.
Yep.
I
that
think
was our fault.
I think we'll have to keep this going. I like this as a concept. I'm sure Mark and Rachel have photo. I'm sure everybody does.
Yeah, it's endless. It'll
Yeah.
be fun.
So, all right. Thanks, Mom.
Oh, you're very welcome.
All right. We love you.
I have a few tears running down my cheeks.
Well,
I really do.
I wish we had you on the
You
YouTube
know.
video. We'll have to figure that out
It's-
next time.
Thinking of Pop Bud
Yeah,
and how happy he would be.
he's a special guy
He's left a legacy of some sort.
for
Mhm.
sure.
Nobody could ask for anything better.
Nope.
Yep.
Alrighty. Love you guys.
Love you
Love
too.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, thanks, Caitlin.
You're welcome.
This has been fun.
Yeah. A lot of fun.
So as a reminder to listeners, we'll put all of these photos up on the website, www.outdoorrules.com. Go to the podcast part of the website and they'll be under this episode. I think we're going to call this one A Picture's Worth, ...
Sounds good.
And as always, you can see all of our content on Instagram at Outdoor Rules. We're doing all kinds of interesting stuff. We've got an official turkey call of the Outdoor Rules podcast, right?
Mountain Hollow.
Mountain Hollow game calls. Those guys have been really fun. I was talking to them again, texting back and forth with them this week. So,
Nice.
yeah, hopefully we'll get them here in 2027. I think we're aiming to try to do some New Mexico turkey hunting. So,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
yeah, really special. So, just a couple more weeks, we'll be home for a family reunion. Hopefully, we'll get to talk to Uncle Sim and Uncle Dick in person. Emmett and I are going. You're going to stay here with Robert, right?
Yeah.
But lots more to come. So, thanks again for doing this. I love you.
I love you too.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for listening.
great outdoors, mixing history, laughter, love, and folklore. Creating memories with family and friends. These are the trophies that matter in the end. Outdoor rules.